Good morning and welcome. My name is Michele Jutrisa and I'm an independent demonstrator with Stamping Up here in New South Wales, Australia. Sorry, I'm just keep on looking down, but I'm just removing some photos from my page and just sorting myself out. I've got to become better organised. How many of us are really badly organised like me? Okay, so I'm still working on this album. And I'm glad you've joined me here today. Please jump on, say hello, let us know where you're from. It's always great seeing new people. Now, I'm sort of been looking at my album and thinking, okay, where do I go to next? I'm sort of a little bit all over the place. I'm doing a little bit here, a little bit there. And hello, Deborah, how are you? And not quite getting sections completed, but that's okay. This is what this is all about. It's an album in progress. I mean, it's all about me, but you know what? I'm still here. I'm still growing. I'm still getting older. So this album is going to continue to grow with me. The first section of my album is all about me now. So I thought, well, where else better to keep going? But let's look at where I live, where I come from. So let me turn my camera down and bring this up for you so you can see where I'm at. I've already cut my base pages here, 6x8, just out of white cardstock, and I've already done my journaling. And because I have a lot to say, and I still had to condense this down into a small strip, I've actually done my title just here on the side, and I've done my journaling straight onto my base page. Now, this is just a great way of doing your journaling. I just wanted to keep it in a small section, but I didn't want to have it so it was just going across this way and just sort of being a lot of lines. It can become very disjointed doing it that way. And I just wanted to give a little bit of an introduction basically to where I live. Not so much the house I live in, because really it's a little bit boring, but the area I live in. When people ask me, where do you live? I generally say the Southern Highlands. I don't always tell people I live in Moss Vale. Because I have lived we moved from Sydney about 29 years ago, and we moved to the Southern Highlands. And we moved to Mittagong, which is called the gateway of the Southern Highlands. It's the first major town you hit when you come here. The Southern Highlands is basically made up of three main towns. That's Mittagong, Bowral and Moss Vale. And then we've got lots of little villages all in around them, and it's a beautiful area. So yeah, as I said, when people ask me where you're from, I say the Southern Highlands. It's because it's the whole area. Our towns are so close together now. It's only usually about 5 to 10 minutes drive from town centre to town centre between each of them, because the towns are all expanding so much, like so many areas like Sydney and everything, that we're all joining up and becoming one area. So we're almost like little suburbs of each other. But we've got lots of beautiful outlying towns. Like we've got Berrima, which is our tourist area. It's, sort of like some of the oldest buildings after Sydney are there in Berrima. Moss Vale. Originally, Moss Vale was going to be the main hub, and they were starting to build, when they built in this area, from what I believe, down near the river, and then found it flooded. So moved everything to Berrima. So the whole area is very, very interconnected. So I'm sort of showing lots of photos. This is sort of like a little touristy type vibe to where I live. So I've gone onto the internet. I've picked some photos from what my husband has got and photos to what I've got. I've gone on the internet and picked other photos and drawn them off there and taken my inspiration from there. We are known also here in the Southern Highlands for our tulips, and my first jump to paper was and as I said, I'm going through a lot of, just let me pick something up. I'm going through a lot of my stash, and the first one I picked up was the mixed media florals, because it has got paper in here. If I think it's on the back of this one. Yep, with lots of tulips and things on there, because we're known for our tulips here. Hi, Vicky. How are you? Thanks for joining. But the images are just way too big. I've got all the sticker sheets because I have all the memories and more cards from this particular suite, and I thought, how am I going to incorporate all of that? I don't think I can. A lot of the images are just way too big for what I want to do, because I want to do a double page spread. So I've gone again and I've looked in amongst my stash, and I've come up with a recent one because I just think the papers are a little softer, a little quieter, and so I'm going to use Lovely Blooms, which has been a fantastic, and I don't think it's quite current anymore, but I believe there's possibly still stock of this because it is such a gorgeous, gorgeous paper. So I'm going to use it because it works really well with a lot of the heritage photos, because I've got a lot of photos here. I'm just moving things out of the road, sorry, because they're falling down and hitting me on the feet. I store a lot of things as I'm working on the floor. So the papers I've chosen from that collection are going to be this beautiful stripe. I've got this one here, and I've also pulled out this little bit of floral here because I think in the end it's going to go with some of these photos that I've got. I've got lots of photos of nature, lots of photos of our townships. So these three are actually particularly of Mittagong. I've got photos here of Berrima, you know, because it's known for our heritage. So we've got the old jail, we've got the old pub, which is, I can't remember now what it's quite well known for the fact that it's been continually running since day dot. So, you know, you found the big coneflower died too big. Yeah, sometimes you've got to be, especially when you're working on 6x8 albums, you've got to be very, very aware. You don't want to use a paper that's going to overpower your images, but you also don't want a paper that's just going to not so much overpower them, but you want to show your papers, but you want something that's going to highlight your photos, but not overtake them, but not be so big that it's not going to leave you room on your pages for anything else as well. So then we're also known here for our tulips, and that's the reason why I was going for the papers with the tulips on it. And then there's one little photo to represent Moss Vale, where I live. So that's generally my layout. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to create, I think, borders down the side using these three. Not quite sure yet how we're going to exactly do it, but let's get started. And then because I've got my journaling going in the opposite direction, my page actually finishes at about there. So I'm going to be replicating, but on a smaller scale, the same over here. So sort of like creating two bookends, and then with my journaling and my title here on the side. So that's how my idea is going. And let's start working on these. So I still have all of these to put onto my mats, which I've got there. And I've cut all my mats down to 2.2 inches by 3 inches. And these are just 1/8 of an inch smaller. Okay, so let's start looking at what we're going to do here and how we're going to layer it. Now, I'm not quite sure yet whether I'm going to go this way with a little bit of this. I think it needs that little bit of blue to add in here. And these colours are very muted and aren't going to overpower anything too much. So whether I go that, or do I swap these around and go that and just have a little bit of floral, because they're not tulips. My photos are going to go, let me just pull out the photos that are going to go here, which are going to be these two here. And see the colours here, because I mean, this is not the brightest of photos. Tulips are very bright and they're very beautiful. This photo is a little bit duller. It looks fantastic as a huge photo, but just in a little photo, the colours aren't as bright. So I think it just tends to work in well with those. And I think actually I do like to have the stripe as my predominant. So I think that that's what I'm going to go and do. So if I'm going to have these, it's upside down, going then into there, I'm going to only have, because there's the end of my paper there, I only probably want, let's start with a 4 centimetre strip of the stripe. And this is where you can get away with just using your scrap pieces like this. So let's pop all those there, and we'll pop these to one side and grab our trimmer, and we'll mat those in a moment. Now, I've got a trimmer right here. So this one here, I decided I wanted to go about, 4 centimetres I said, which is 1.5 inches. So how big is my strip here? I have got a strip here which is just over 2.5 inches. So if I cut that down to, let's just say that 1.5, and then we've got the piece for the other side, and I'm going to cut this down to 1 inch, maybe 3/4 of an inch. Said I don't want it too big on the other side, so I'm going to discard that piece, and I am going to, let's just bring this in and just see if we're going to the right direction here. So we're going to have that piece there, and then we're going to put a little bit of, don't need that hair there, a little bit of the blue. We only need a little strip of that. We don't need too much. And then a little bit of the floral. So let's see how we're going. This is all guesstimation at the moment. So I'm thinking if I cut this to 1/4 inch strips, because I'd only want just a little bit. So I need 2/4 inch strips. Just lining that up on my trimmer there at the 1/4 inch mark. So I need 2 of those, one for each side. We don't need that piece. So I've got these pieces here for one side and this for the other side. And then my floral. So we've gone, what did I say, 1.5 inches on the stripe. I can cover this up a little bit. I'm just wondering whether I might go about 3/4 of an inch on the wider side. So it's just giving us that little hint of the floral, and then maybe I'm going to cut it 3/4 of an inch. I'm thinking I might end up cutting it down to about half for the other side. Okay, so let's start popping these on. And whoops, I think what I do need to do first off is cut these down to 8, because that's our height. So we're going to cut this one at 8 inches, and let me move this down a bit so you can see what I'm doing rather than having everything off camera. So we've got 8. What I might do is I might just turn this around this way. Might make things a little bit easier. And we're going to pop this one here also at 8. Just making sure we take that right up to the top. Actually, that one I might cut with a pair of scissors. It might be a lot easier because it's a very thin piece. We want to cut this one at 8. and pop that to one side and cut this one at 8. Just got to make sure I'm at that 8 mark. Okay. Have the floral on the bottom. What do you mean at the bottom of the page? I don't think I'm not quite sure whether I'm going to put anything at the very bottom as yet, because we'll see how we go. Because at the moment I'm just sort of working more across the page. So we're going to have this one here. Then we have our floral. And then we're going to pop this one here on top. So really I just want to bookend it rather than creating more lines going across. Then this one can go just on this side, my journaling. This one here next to it. And then have that one going across there. Okay, I think that's what I want to do. And let me just quickly pop these on again. So we're going to have this one here with that one. And again, these have to be matted, so they could go across a little bit more. The other thing I could do, which could look quite nice, and I probably do have the paper to do it, is, I don't mind using up a bit of this, is even having floral going right across. I don't know yet. Let's just see if I've got a bigger piece. That floral, because I am starting to run out of this paper. The whole idea is to use it up and not hoard it. Actually, there's a bigger piece. The other idea would be to run okay, just going to pop that there for the moment. To run that right across. That could look quite pretty too. Didn't even think of that until now. So that could go there. Is that going to look too much with all my, not that I have that many florals in here, a lot of green. Just a bit worried that it's going to blend in too much and you won't see. I mean, these are going to be popped up behind. Let's just have a look. Pop that up behind white. Is it too much, or am I better off staying with on the white page? Because then these will be matted white on white. Now that's an interesting point. Maybe I would be better off going this floral right across. Let's just have another bit of a, because that's going to go in there. That's going to go there. I'm starting to like having that floral going right across there, right through the middle. Can always move this a little bit over, make that a bit narrower. I know I've already cut my papers, but you know what? I've got plenty of paper here to play with. The other thing would be is to put, let's just put all these onto their mats very quickly, and that way it'll make it a lot easier. So we're just going to pop a little bit of hello, Linny, how you going? So let's pop that onto there. Trying to decide, Linny, whether I'm going to put the floral to the outside or the stripe to the outside. I've cut it, so then I was going to just do bookends, but I'm sort of thinking that I might put pattern paper right across. Yeah, it's not bad, is it? Once I put the white on the underneath it. And I could even, because if I wanted to highlight just a couple of photos, I could even put a second mat on some of these, but tried to get photos of all the town, like photos of Barrel, photos of I think the only one I've ended up with Barrel is the Rotunda at the Gardens, the Corbett Gardens. The only one of Mossvale I've got is the railway station, because it's a heritage station. Then that's Mittagong, our cenotaph, and then Berrima, Mittagong, and this is our beautiful lake in Mittagong. It's a man-made lake. This area was known for its coal mining, I think it was, or iron ore. And the lake was built to hold water for the train that used to come up from the mines, steam train. Now, have I got them all? I've got 3, 3, 2, and 2. Okay. So, do we go that way? These photos on here, and it's going to have a stripe of that down underneath there. These florals are going to go out over that. Those photos, I should say, and then they're going to sit something like that. Or I've got enough paper I can move the stripe on the inside and have the floral on the outside. And that way these photos aren't really fighting with any of the busyness, because that is very, very busy. That's the only thing that's worrying me. It is so busy. So if we could swap these out, take that out, and I could put floral and stripe across. And have that like that. then these photos won't contend with anything. And I'm thinking I might even like that a bit better, because it's not fighting with anything, but the floral is just there supporting it. I think I'm going to go that way. Okay, more cutting. Good to have you guys on board to help me decide these things. So I'm going to cut now a 4-inch piece of this, 4-inch, what I cut it, the bigger piece, 1.5. One and a half, which is going to be, whoops, one and a half there. So we're going to have 1.5, and then the other piece that I had cut, might be able to use one of the ones I've already cut. Let's have a look. So let's cut this down to 8. So we're going to swap that out for that. We're still going to be using those little pieces. And then this piece here, I'm going to have the stripe still going across, but I need to cut this. If I cut this way, oh, bugger, I'm going to cut this way. Sorry, I shouldn't have said that. I'm going to cut that across there, remove that. Then we need to cut this. We'll work this out in a minute because I've got to do a couple of little. So let's pop these pieces on first. So this piece here, pop that down there on that edge. So that's going to go there. And then one of these. Now I'm going to use my lines on my glass mat to line this up. Just going to take that from there. Whoops, I could probably bring that down a little bit more. From there. Lining it up. To there. So we're going to pop that there like that. Now, I need to work out, I need a strip which is going to be 1 at 4.5 and 1 at 3.25. So let's bring this back in. So 1 at 4.5. And 1 at 3.25. And by using one strip to get these two pieces out, all my stripes will line up. So that piece we don't need. So this one here is going to go on there. Tape runner, threw it over there. So let's pop a bit of adhesive on there. And that's going to butt up to that one. Actually, just in case my out by a little bit, I'm going to butt it up to this outer edge here because, yeah, I'm out just a little bit there. And I don't know why I'm out so much. Once I put the blue strip on there, you're not going to really tell. That's 2 and 3. Yeah, it's this stripe here. I'm out. Don't know whether I'm going to be able to lift it up though without damaging underneath. No, I think I'm just going to leave that. It is a little bit crooked. But by the time I put this on, you are not going to know. Okay, let's pop that on there now because that'll drive me balmy seeing that. That is going to go straight over the top. No one is going to know but us. So don't tell anyone. Okay. So I just have to let that dry and trim that down. And now let's pop this one on. Make sure I've got the right edges there. And then this one we're going to line up. I didn't want that to happen. Like that. And then we're going to do the same with this little strip. Don't need too much liquid glue on this, just enough to cover that. Actually, I might just we're just going to pop that down on top. And while that glue is still wet, I'm just going to move this along. Oops, not that much. Just move that along a little bit more to there. Okay, let's just get my cloth and clean up that glue so we don't have a sticky spot there. And we'll trim that down. Trim this one. Just got a little bit longer here, so I might just leave that. If I start fiddling around and trying to trim things down to make it all 100% accurate, I'm going to be, there we go. So there's our page. I know you won't tell Deborah. I mean, that's why I said it. Yeah, a blind man on a horse wouldn't notice. And once you get all your photos there, your photos are going to be what people are going to be looking at. I mean, I can be pedantic and I do like to have things nice and straight, but I'm not going to argue the point. Okay, so let's grab our photos and let's start placing our photos down. So this actually works well because we've got a stripe now here to follow. So we're going to pop, that's going to go across there. That is going to go there. There can come in a little bit there. I like to have a little bit more depth at the bottom of my page. I might just bring those in. But I think that is going to work well for there. So let's adhere those down. And I keep throwing my... So let's pop these ones down first. So I'm going to use the stripe in the paper to help me line this up. Pop one there. So to move that across just that little bit more. So there's that one. Might have to move this one up a little bit. See if I can lift that. I don't want those sort of too... I don't think that looks too bad. Okay, so then we have these ones here. This one here is going to go down there. Now again, it can come across a little bit, though we've got a similar distance to that one. This one here can go at the bottom. Just need to space these out a little bit. So they can go around about there. Hello, Nicole. How are you? So do the top and the bottom ones first. Let's do this one. Now, I haven't worked out yet what embellishments we're going to use, because we might just have to play this by ear a little bit if we're going to do any embellishments. So there's our layout all done. That sounds good, Nicole. My business has gone very, very quiet at the moment. Okay, so let's have a look. What can we use to embellish this? Now, I did pull out some of these, but they're definitely not going to go now, because that was with the other one, and I think the colours are just all completely wrong, but I had a whole stack of bibs and bobs there in the... So let's pop that to one side, and let's just have a look. What we have got in our florals. So let me see if I've got the stamp set that goes with this one. Just bear with me 1 second. As I said, I wasn't really planning on using this one. Let's have a look. See if I've got it. That's one stamp set that goes with this. There's the other one, and just wondering, is there something, you know, I'm going to pull that one out too, because I don't mind the leaves in that. So let's just have a look. I don't need this one because we've got all our titles and everything in there. So let's pop that, throw that to one side. We could stamp off some more flowers. Just having a look to see whether I've got any. Don't think I've got any spares. Usually I tuck the spares into there with that. And do I have anything in here that's pre-cut? Because I do like this leaf. If we want to put a nice big leaf or something, might be a bit too big. So this is the thing you've got to be very aware of. You don't want to have things that are too big, because if it's too big, you're going to be losing. So this one here, we've got some nice little leaves. I never got the scrapbooking set with this, so, but we do have some nice leaves, and we've got the flower that goes with that. Is there anything I can fussy cut? Because I don't mind doing a bit of fussy cutting. Let's just have a quick look. Oh, I don't think. That paper there has got some bits and pieces on it. Let's just... We could fussy cut that. We could cut that, fussy cut that out. So I'm thinking of leaving that around, like not having the blue in the background, but just cutting out those flowers. Or we could just stamp some. Problem is we don't need them too big, and these are smaller. Okay, let's just do a little bit, whoops, of fussy cutting. just fussy cut those. Then I could, that one there, I think. I'm just wondering whether I might just cut, sort of butchered this paper a little bit, but anyway, that's okay. It's got to get used up. We can't keep it forever. What does Kylie say? Love it, chop it. Because I don't need many, I just need a couple. So I'm just going to take that one, take that one. Okay. Sorry guys, you have to watch me do a little bit of fussy cutting here. And I'm actually going to cut as close to that edge as possible because I don't want to leave much of a blue edge, though I'm not going to worry about going in too close because we've got that blue stripe. So that was probably another good reason why we did the stripe. Sometimes too, you're doing things like this, you just need to bring in, now where have I put it? I'll rearrange things here. The glass mat. I'm not going to use my glass plate because that's tempered, which means it's got a plastic coating on it, which will scratch. And my craft knife, which I have got here. And sometimes it's a lot easier, instead of using a pair of scissors, is to actually use a craft knife. And it's the same as using scissors because all you want to do is you're not actually turning your knife, you're turning your paper. I'm probably just giving my knife a little bit of a gentle turn because it's been a while since I've done this. And all I'm doing is just swiveling that paper around, and having a glass mat rather than a self-healing mat means that you can turn your paper. If you try to do this on a self-healing mat, what happens is, number one, your blade gets caught in your mat, and number two, you don't have that slip that you get from using your a glass mat. I'm just going to take that towards me and just run that off. Now you may just have to go over some areas a second time, like I do just there. You do have to put a little bit of pressure on that knife just to get nice cuts. And it's a lot easier to start from like up into a point and then bring your knife down. I'm just bringing that down for a second time across there. Let's just see if I can get that out nicer that time. Yep. So this one here, I'm going to start up in the top of my flower and I'm going to bring my knife down. I am drawing that knife a little bit towards me because it does tend to help. take it back into that point again, and then bringing that down towards me, but I'm letting the paper move more so than my knife. You can always go back and re-trim areas if you didn't get as close as what you would like, and work on little bits at a time rather than trying to work on big areas. The more even pressure you can do on your knife to make sure you're cutting through all of that, the better off you are. Now there is a little area there I'm going to have to come back with my scissors and just tidy up. Whoops, someone's trying to phone me. I'm just going to have to... Sorry about that. Let me just... Okay, that's just... Where are we up to here? See how we've gone with that cut there. Yeah, I enjoyed cutting with a craft knife. I used to always only cut with a craft knife. Whoops, just be careful you don't cut yourself though. This is how I used to do titles. Then all I'm going to do is I've got a little bit of an area there that I've got a little bit of white on it, and I want to remove that. I'm just going to remove that little bit just there, just tidy up some of these areas here a little bit. That's not too bad. Okay. One more. I'm sorry for this, guys, but this is where changing your mind halfway through doesn't work. But if you can keep a constant pressure on your knife the whole way through, then you're going to get a nice clean cut first time round as well. Now this is a big flower that I'm cutting here, so I may even cut this into smaller portions because we don't have that big an area, and I don't need that many embellishments for this layout. I'm going to cut that off there and just sort of see how that's... See, that one there cut much better for me because I was keeping a much firmer grip on my... Much better pressure on my knife. If you're doing a lot of cutting this way, I tend to find that I can get a little bit crampy in my hands because I haven't actually got any movement in this hand where I'm holding the knife. I'm just keeping an even pressure. So just give yourself plenty of time. Don't sort of push yourself. As you can see, as I'm getting into this, that I'm learning the pressure that I need to keep. You can get into quite finer areas by using a craft knife than you can using a pair of scissors. Because I probably wouldn't even try to get into some of these areas with the scissors, but with using a craft knife, I can get into smaller areas and get more detail out of what I'm cutting. But just be very careful because you don't want to sort of be cutting so fine a detail that you're actually making your paper very flimsy and floppy. Give it no strength. It's very easy that way for that to rip before you get it glued down onto the area you want to have it glued. So I'm just going to take that little bit out. As you can see there, I'm getting quite some detail out of this. So now I've only got this one little section left to come off. Hello Annette, how are you? Thank you for joining. Okay, I'm just going to cut this little section in here. And again, this is probably something you wouldn't do if you're doing it with a pair of scissors. But doing it with a craft knife, it enables me to do that. Now this glass plate that I've got here, I've got it from, it was out of a picture frame that had glass in it. So it's not tempered glass or anything like that, which enables me to cut. And I've had this for 20 years and it's not even got a scratch in it. So whereas if I did it on my glass mat here, I would most likely get a scratch in that because of the plastic coating that is on your tempered glass. And that's the difference between real glass and tempered glass, is the fact that it's got a coating on it which enables it, if it does break, it doesn't actually shatter. Okay, put the lid back onto that and let's bring our pages back in and let's have a look, since we've cut these out, how we can use these. So I've only got the two because I don't really feel like I need too much here. Though really we should have it in threes. Might turn that around so that's going that way because I quite like that there. And this one here, I am going to cut this. And I'm just going to hopefully do something with that leaf that it doesn't look like it's been too butchered off. So that's the leaf I've just cut. So if I pop that there, Then I can slip that underneath that one like so. Don't want to cover up too much. And then this one here, don't know if I'm going to need it or whether I can actually even fit it. I do like that smaller, so probably would have been better to use my knife for this, but I'm just going to use my scissors. Cut around this flower. And that can go there. Or we could even use this one. Just that can go right across to there. And this is not necessarily going to be thrown away or wasted. Let's just have a look and see if we can pop. Might not quite work. Let's just trim some of that off. See if we can get that up a little bit further up in there. Might even just cut that one there completely off. And that can go there, and then that one can go there like so. So we've got 3 little clusters. So bring that one in there just to fill that up a little bit more there. I think that's starting to look really good. So let's glue some of these down. So this one here, I'm just going to pop a little bit of glue there and a bit of glue there and there. I did have that tucked underneath a little bit. Whoops, we wanted to tuck that little leaf there under, didn't we? Let's put a bit of glue on that one. This one here is on top. Because it's going to go in a page protector, I'm not putting down too much glue. Move that across a little bit. Actually, we want to move that up a bit there. So that's that one there. Then this one here, I'm just going to lift this here and just pop a little bit of glue underneath. No, I'm not. I'm taking it off. It can sit there. Now all we need to do, just to finish this off a little bit, let's just grab, see if I can find the bits and pieces in bling that goes with this. I'm trying to remember what it is looking like. think it was that one. Definitely not those. And okay, the next question is what colour we're going to put. So we've got some little bits and pieces here. So we've got the Night of Navy, which actually I don't mind the Night of Navy. I think it's just going to add that little bit. Okay then, so let's just grab this take a pick tool. And there's 3 sizes, so I'm actually going to grab this bigger sheet here. And these are a flat, quite a flat, actually it's only in 2 sizes. So 1, 2, and then I'm going to put another 3rd one. Yep, about there, I think. I'm going to use up this one up here. So 1, 2, a 3rd one just in there, and then over here, grab, oops, it's on my finger, that one there, go there, there, and one there. Okay, so thank you for joining me today, and there's another page done for my album about me. And thank you for your help, because I think that worked out really well. I'm just going to have to be a little bit more better organised, but anyway, another fun page working on your 6x8s and working on an album all about me. Now remember, all these products, I am trying to use up what I have in my stash, because I have got a huge amount of product lying around that is not getting used, that I've kept, and keeping it is not going to use it up and move it on, so I can buy new product. And because there are such little pages, you can use all those little scrappy pieces. So I hope you've enjoyed that. Thank you very, very much for joining me, and we'll see you next Saturday for another live. At the moment, I think Saturday is going to be working fine for this, and we'll catch up with you then. So have a lovely weekend. Thank you very much for joining me, especially those from overseas, because I'd hate, Annette, to think what time it is over where you are. And I hope you have a lovely weekend. So thank you very much, and thank you very, very much for your help and your input, because really I couldn't do all of this without you. So